can present your...
Thank you, Irena. Good morning to everyone. As you maybe heard, the city of Pula was a finalist candidate city for the title of European Capital of Culture 2020. So we went through 4 years process, and a few weeks ago the results were announced, so those doors were closed to us. But another door has been opened. So today we will present shortly, as we have just 15 minutes, some of the projects which we will try to finance through E2 mechanism, European mechanism, during next few years. So some of those projects are in relation to Rojc. All our concept is all around cultural demilitarization. As when we start to think about our concept, we look around the challenges that our city and the rest of Europe faces, and we realize that we are strongly militarized. Not only physically, because of former areas which you visited, which excluding citizens from their own city, but also we are psychologically and emotionally militarized. So some of our main objectives were, and they are, to reclaim former military buildings, to fill them with civic and cultural initiatives, to reclaim common, and to overcome the feelings of fear and social passivity. So Marco will present just a short list of projects which we want to realize in the future, and all details you can find on our official website, City of Pula. Thank you.
Hey to everyone. This is the shortlisted project that we plan to propose to funding from EU funds. So they are kind of reshaping to fit to that purpose. It's based on, we choose them based on 3 basic parameters. First is, of course, transformation of empty space, and second is really big, and it's about sustainability. So it's we didn't see problem to occupy space, but how to make that sustainable. And the third one is kind of answer of that question about sustainability, is developing cultural and civil sector through creative industry and social innovation. So we make projects in 3 main clusters. First, it's kind of production network, and the main goal is cross-sectional collaboration between industry, agriculture, arts, and creative industry. Second, in this point 2 and 3 is new cultural products like museum and gallery. And third cluster is about Rojc, and it's connected with social innovation. So production network, we call it Made in Pula. It's based in one empty building in shipyard Uljanik, and it's the main goal is to increase the level of innovation through collaboration between classic shipyard engineering and designer and artist and citizens in kind of hybrid engineering, do-it-yourself culture, and that building is infrastructure full with new type of I would call machines or for rapid prototyping, for open source and software development. Second is Cinema Paradiso. It's connected with film festival in Pula, and the main goal is to, through education, increase the number of creative industries, participant in creative industries, and to educate in such activities that now are not presented here. For example, set design, costume design. So we want to make infrastructure for education, for young people, for professional, non-professional, and we want to Pula and Istra be recognized as a center of the filmmaking culture. And the third center is about contemporary multimedia art. It's a cluster of multifunctional production studios, not only in Pula but also in Istria. And there are also kind of educational discursive programs, residence, and it's going to connect it with international artists to make collaboration and to increase production of contemporary arts in Pula and Istria. This second cluster is based on the idea of heritage and used heritage in new touristic products. So this one is about Language and Communication Museum. That is comprehensive and an innovative approach to study of language in communication, and its goal to create interactive and entertaining programs for presenting scientific research in that field. It consists of 5 segments: Languagescapes, Stage Europe, the Code Lab, Sound of Silence, Found in Translation. It's about Languagescapes, it's gallery of important and largest digital archive of European languages in dialect in one place. So we plan also to present various types of new possibility with computer language processing, big data, and computer translation, etc. Stage Europe is audio archive with recorded speeches, rare recorded speeches of European heroes, and La Code Lab is a series of educational programs for young people, which take through games, quiz, workshops, learning about language, coding, and new technologies. Sound of Silence is the largest digital archive, because we make partnership with NASA and we have access to their digital archive. So this is a kind of sound gallery of sounds of space and other special locations like desert, mountains. And Found in Translation is a program that is based on topic of language and communication history, and it's also the tool for research of Indo-European language. Blind Vision, it's a special gallery. It's a gallery for the blind people, but not also for blind people, but every visitor in that gallery will be blind because it's in deep dark, so it's the exhibit non-visual media through sound and touch, and present both the contemporary artists, but also they translate the old and famous artists like Picasso and Michelangelo. And the fourth one is Pula Rojc. It's clustered about, of course, this space. It's about social innovation. We would like to develop Rojc in the regional and international center of social, ecological, and cultural innovation through 3 projects: Green Roof, Core Walking Hostel, and Generation V. And Green Roof is, of course, a large community garden on the top roof. That place is not only a place for meeting. That place is also the place for adoption of new set of knowledge and skills which are necessary to make ecological and socially responsible initiatives in community, such as production and branding of organic food, urban garden, recycling. Co-working hostel, it's a hostel that based on co-creation principle, which means that we will invite lots of international artists, and each one will make a room. So we will have kind of patchwork of design in that room. And the Generation V, it's a platform that with our major partner WeShare network, we would like to connect social innovator, technologists, artists and designers from more than 30 European cities to establish constant communication and to make a tool for new development of new social innovation projects. Okay, and that's thank you. So this was my first presentation in English. Because I didn't read the whole email. So you want to do presentation? Yes. So thank you. Yeah.
My colleague Rojc, please come.
Hello.
It's a moment that we speak about the place we are in this moment, about Rojc. With me is my colleague Rojc from the association called Adriatic Animation. I would like to present you what we are doing now in this moment with Social Center Rojc. In the content of all of this we are speaking these days. We are trying to, first of all, through this open platform Rojc, that is one platform with different associations from Social Center, where we are trying to improve the communication between association in Rojc. This is very important for us because the communication in the building is not so good. In a sense, there is really, as you know, more than 100 associations at the moment in the buildings. And it's quite hard to communicate in the sense that we know what is going on, where, in what moment. And to make one common vision of what would we like to do with in the next years, how to develop the center. In this project we are focused on three things. First of all, there is thinking how to include more the local community. And one of the things that went through lots of workshops and a lot of planning was Radio Rojc, community radio, that we started a few months ago. It's some kind of pilot project, and it's going quite good. We would like to continue with it because it really gives out all the goods that are made in Rojc. The second part of this project, this platform, we are trying to improve the infrastructure in two senses. One you already saw in the exhibition. It's about the common spaces that we could use in the future where we can spend more time with citizens and it would be good for the local community. And on the other side, it's we are trying to see how to improve the infrastructure in a sense it's a little bit hard for me in English, to make better approach for the people with disabilities. Because at this moment, people with disabilities can approach only ground floor. And so we are trying to see how to, we are making some project how to improve this. Also, at the moment, we are in one quite important moment where we need to make some decisions all together that is connected with the common vision. And this is how we can use better the spaces in Rojc, because all these things that we were speaking these days, co-working, social enterprise, other possible ideas we need to find them a place. And there's like no place free in Rojc at the moment. So we would like to see on which way we can use the spaces that are already used, how we can use these spaces with more different associations. That it's not always that one association has one space, but we make like this space is a living room and all the association can use it. So it would be good that we have more different spaces in the building that can be used by a few associations, different people for different ideas. With this, I will finish. I will give the word to Rojc, that made this film that is also connected with this idea that we are trying to make this common vision of how to improve Rojc in the next years.
Thank you. So what we're going to see is a film which is a result of approximately 3 months of production. So we decided to tell the story of Rojc from the point of view of somebody who is dreaming about some better Rojc. So that's why we created in our studio a character. We call him Architect of Rojc. We created a character who comes on site and he has some sort of magical device. So it's association almost like with Professor Baltazar. Some people who are from Croatia or maybe even outside of Croatia remember Professor Baltazar. So that was a character we all grew up with. So this was a little old guy, like he is here with a beard, and you come to him if you have a problem. So I think we have a problem here because we have a big building full of a lot of associations, but with not too much communication between them. That was my experience in the last 2 years when I moved back in Pula from Denmark, and this is my perception today still. So I feel that this platform we are doing right now is a big opportunity to maybe make these changes in a better way. So I want to say just a little bit technical aspects of this film. We used two very good animators who do films in stop motion technique. They are famous authors from Zagreb, Ivana Volda and Thomas Johnson. They already got awards with their previous films. And also I used another artist who is now emerging VJ and digital artist, Teja Stražičić. For example, Teja, you will see her digital art inside of this film. She did the opening title for this year's Anima Fest, which is a big prestige festival, the only A festival we have in Croatia. So I tried to incorporate what is actual today in a sense of art of animation, since we try as a studio to work with the best in Croatia at the moment. We'll see, I don't know. There probably is going to be some questions after the film. Did we really tell clearly, what's going to be here? So there's going to be another version of this film, so we're going to announce it also today, which we're going to try to incorporate the result of this workshop you see on these walls. So then maybe it will be more clear that what we imagined can be actually done in this space. So I don't know. And also I would like to say that I was very happy to collaborate with the talented musicians from Pula. It was a band called Palme, which is contained from many talented musicians. And first of all, this is like Bika Blasko and Ognjen Jovanovic. They did most of the soundtrack, but also we used material which band Palme recorded on their many concerts. So yes, the only thing we can do is to tell enjoy it, and yes, if you have questions after film, please don't be shy.
We should say thank you to National
Foundation.
to financing this platform, because I think without their financial help, all these things would not be possible. Yes. Any questions? Someone? Nothing? Yes. Or after? Yes.
We can continue with the program. Now we have Nina Karzen from a Social Innovation Laboratory. She will speak about social innovations in urban revitalization and public spaces. Please.
Hi everybody, my name is Mirna Karsten. I have a two role. I'm the president of Social Innovation Lab, and I'm also director of a consulting company working on place branding and revitalization, cultural heritage, and urban in different localities and sites. First, before I tell you a little bit about both of my hats and roles, I will say that public spaces were actually the reasons or the blame because I left the States where I lived for 13 years and moved back to Croatia. My husband, who is American, will say that public spaces are to blame because he doesn't really like it here so much. But I was living in New York for 8 years and started to cooperate with the organization Project for Public Spaces. I don't know if anybody knows for them. There's some nods. I completely fell in love with their methodology. It's all about participatory placemaking, and I kind of became their agent later in the region. This was 2001, 2002, so in a way, kind of early for Croatia, so we'll probably say that. But I applied for Soros Fellowship, and I got exactly on this topic. So this was the reason why I actually moved to Croatia. And I'm still here, 13 years back, later. And I'm really happy. In the meantime, I work on different things, and I'm now actually coming back to my true love and my original love. And I have to say that now there's actually more dynamic and more energy that has been created around public spaces and urban revitalization, so I'm really glad. So to continue about, how do I do this? Okay. So I fall in love a lot, and actually in this time of life, I only work on projects that my only criteria is butterflies in my stomach. So if I don't get butterflies, I don't work. But lately, I have a flood of butterflies because everything that I work on, I actually really like. So a little bit about SEAL. We're a regional organization working on promoting, mapping, and supporting social innovation. And when I talk about social innovation, everybody's like, okay, what is this? You know, this is like so fluid, and you know, I'm a social innovator, but I don't really know that I'm a social innovator. So it's a concept that it's still evolving in Croatia, and I think it needs more support, more this ecosystem that needs to be built from all the sides, especially from the policymakers. And policy is something that we work a lot, and although sometimes I do feel like Cervantes, fighting Don Quixote, fighting the windmills, because I feel like usually the only one really working on a policy level with ministries, and especially in 2013, I was trying to integrate social innovation in the operating programs and on a policy level. And it looked like this. I would write it and then I would take it out and then I would write it and put it back. But it made it to some level and I'm still fighting to get the allocation that we lost because I'm not going to get into this. So if we get allocation, then actually we can start really supporting the experimentation and the real social innovation processes and new methodologies and ideas. So I'm actually, yeah. So these are some of the things we do. I also teach social innovation at the private university of VED. We work with a number of networks and partners, including the Croatian Association of Independent Professionals. You'll hear from Matija later on. We work with Crowdfunding Academy. We also have a really large number of organizations in Europe and all over the world. And we are also trying to build a regional network because we do work in the Western Balkans. So the idea is to work to develop a social innovator network in the region. I'm really proud of this. This is our first H2020 project, Social Innovation Community. And because we're not a true researchers, we're not in an institute or a university, but we do cooperate with them a lot. I'm really happy about this project because it's all about networks. It's about developing a network of networks of social innovators. And this is, I would like to invite you all to stay in touch and to really, that we can expand our network to your organizations. What is really great is we're trying to expand to unusual suspects and specific networks of urban social innovators, digital, public sector, inclusive development, and many others. We're also in charge of our activities related to experimentation, and we'll be in charge of support of the establishment of a social innovation center. So it's not a huge money, it's more about technical support, and but I think it's a great step towards not just doing research, because usually these type of projects are not that visible, they stay within the same community, and the idea is really that we outreach to new and unusual suspects. I also run a consulting firm. Why I'm telling you this is because my work is very much related and it's kind of complementary because we do work on revitalization of cultural and historical and urban sites. So these are my two loves that I'm kind of combining now together. We work on visibility studies, project documentation for EU funds, on strategies, etc. And I work on localities that are very challenging in terms of the ownership. So this is I'm doing the management plan for the port of Klis, which is the state-owned, one of our most impressive ports in Croatia. And I'm trying to kind of bring together municipality, county, the government agency, community together because they're not really cooperating. This is Rojc. It's also another historical part of the city that I'll talk a little bit later. We're also developing a concept for the thematic science and educational museum/park in the city of Ivanić-Grad. This is a great locality because it's INA-owned, it's an oil and gas company, and so obviously it's again challenging in terms of ownership. It's in a concession by the city, and the city wants to revitalize. It's a really interesting complex because it's in the woods, and so there's opportunity to combine culture, art, and outdoor activities and tourism. We use design thinking approach, placemaking, And so we really try to mobilize community around these projects. So this is kind of our main goals. So these are concrete physical locations, and this is really something that we would like to combine social innovation and the methodologies of social innovation to the urban revitalization. So focus is urban revitalization, culture, creative industries, and sustainable tourism, which does bring to social innovation. Today I'm going to talk about this, the model that we developed, and we think it's innovative, and this is kind of in a practical sense to tell you exactly what we're doing on a concrete project and on a concrete physical building. It's an innovative model of urban cultural tourism that tries to integrate research and development approaches into a sustainable business model. This is a historical part of the city of Rojc, where I worked and developed first the project of the renewal of Rojc, and then I continued working on the strategy. And I actually did this for free, so because I really wanted to kind of continue operating with the community. And as a consultant, I shouldn't really be doing this for free, but I really thought it's a great part of the city. It has a lot of potential. It's kind of a city within the city because it's a historical. It has a lot of avant-garde buildings. This is the building that I'm going to be talking a little bit about. It has everything there. It has 20,000 students. It has the public administration. It has the tourist agencies. It has the museums. It has the cultural community, really important. There's a river there, but there's no cultural events. There's no cultural offerings. There's no tourist offerings, and it needs a lot of investment in the renewal. So I continue working with the community, really mobilizing, bringing them together. And the Pula model came kind of organically because a few organizations came together and we decided to offer the city a model that will be sustainable. And the reason why I didn't, I'll tell you first about the model and then about the building, because we always recommend that first you develop a sustainable model and then you find the space instead of the opposite. Usually when I work with the cities, they say, okay, we'll revitalize the infrastructure, and then the tenants later, the users, will tell us what do they want to do in the building. We feel like it has to be opposite, and the building will just kind of come, in the process. And if you can find the perfect building, great. If not, you can start with some temporary events, experimenting, using the model, trying the model, and then see how it works. And then you can find the space. So this is how, some of the main the main issues that we want to is the partnership, shared responsibility, stakeholder, and community resources. The four complementary components are really related to 4 or 5 organizations that came together as a consortium. Each one is complementary because we can really provide the city and the community what they need. And we divided them in the creative lab for urban and cultural tourism development, which kind of provides research, experimentation, and development of these prototypes, really related to new cultural and creative tourism products. The second one is the Center for Urban Culture and Creativity, which would be kind of a more classic, your social, cultural center. So with a lot of different cultural events, artists, promotion of young artists, festivals, meeting point for cultural and artistic associations. So really kind of a classic cultural social center. The next one, really important, is the Center for Social Entrepreneurship Development. So after you develop the prototypes, you really go into the incubation process, and this would be led by another organization called Center for Creative Development Lab and Center for Social Entrepreneurship Development, and focusing on providing business advice, mentoring, on social entrepreneurship, on business planning, so really taking it to the next level so these products and enterprises can become sustainable. And the fourth one, which is sometimes kind of not really taken seriously, is promotion and marketing. So if you have your products and your services, how are you going to place it on the market? This is something that would be led by a firm called Modranit in Osijek, focusing really on visibility and sales, on education and marketing and sales, and also on the launching of the products in the market, and really creating the brand of this historical city, part of Rojc. So these are the four components, and later I'll tell you a little bit about the consortium, but the idea is that each organization can run one of these components in cooperation with all the stakeholders in the city, in this historical part of the city. What we can offer is really from the preparation of project development, feasibility studies, to the launch, to working with the cultural community of developing new cultural and tourism products, to social entrepreneurship, to launching of the products on the market. So kind of really the full circle. It's quite ambitious, but so now we come to the interesting part, the building. This was kind of a process that was run parallel, and when I was doing the strategy, I actually discovered, when I was mapping the buildings on the site, I discovered this building, and it was again the butterfly one, and I said, okay, this is it, this is perfect, and it's the city property, which is really important for applying for the EU funds. It's a former Franciscan monastery. This is how it looks outside. Obviously, it needs investing and it needs some restoration, quite a lot. This is inside. It's a big poster. It's actually perfect for cultural events, festivals, etc. And somebody, when you would come and look at it, and you just see junk, and we came there and we were like, oh, this is perfect. Right, these are some usual suspects. This is my colleague Sonia from the NGO for Creative Development Lab. This is a local artist who actually was taking care of the building. And Valeria from the very critical agency, the Agency for Renewal of Osijek Rojc, who is actually that I cooperate really well with, and so they're really key. Sorry? See? This is how it looks inside. This is now the collection from the Museum of Slavonia. So the building inside, it's not as bad as you would think. And what is perfect is it has this little small spaces, small rooms, which are perfect for like little art galleries and crafts and different studios, etc. But it also has, yeah, this is Sonia saying, not that bad. And I say we can do this. And the good thing is that it has the small spaces, but it also has the larger rooms for workshops and different events. Who are the users, the tenants, really the community? These guys. It's Plantaja NGO, then Studio Shine. They are all in a dire need of space. So now they're looking for a temporary space. Theater to Go, and many others. Freelancers, artists, craftsmen, entrepreneurs, tourists, students, children. And us, consortium that is constantly pushing the city to not to forget us. So Slav, Steel, and Trouble Tour organization working on cultural tourism. So we're, in the last year or so, 2 years, we're constantly calling every month and say, okay, don't forget about us. And so finally, they did apply for the project documentation for the building for the call on the cultural heritage. And we will probably get into, hopefully we have to push again because it's politics. So, one day they're praising on the idea and then the next is like, who are you? So you have to constantly be in their face. So this is, there's another call for the integrated territorial investments, focusing mostly primarily on urban revitalization. Also, it is one of the cities, so this is another way to get some of the funds for the infrastructure. We're also applying for the agency. I just called them. I said I applied in your name for Interreg Danube, and we're going to be applying for Interreg Central Europe, and with a similar model. So I'm inviting also. We're also looking into applying for Next Horizon Social Innovation and Culture. So I'm inviting everybody who's interested to contact us because we're always looking for good partners. And so this is definitely the area that in our niche that we would like to continue working on and develop. So these are some best practice which basically we're hearing today and yesterday. One of my favorite is Torpedo Factory in Alexandria, Virginia. I don't know if anybody heard about it or have you been there. I lived in the vicinity for 4 years and I got to know it really well. It's run by artists who came in the agreement with the city sometime in the 70s. It's a great space because it does have the small studios and art galleries. It's like a working studios, and it has some really large spaces. It's a completely different site, but it does have some features that could be used also in our model. And there's some others. Well, this is also, it's a huge, so it's different. So these are my contacts, and if you have any ideas, one of the things that we're definitely looking into when we're going to be working with the city is the management models and really finding the optimal management model, but also providing the city the technical assistance in preparing the project documentation. So everything they really need, so they can just basically say, okay, here you go, and run with it. But it's not obviously so simple, so we're going to be looking for some temporary spaces for the creative community first, and in the meantime, because it is a long-term project, also continue working on the next steps. So thank you.
We will have a little change of the program. In the first plan, it was planned that about the co-working spaces will speak Manuel from Lisbon, but he couldn't stay today with us. Then we asked Matija from co-working Croatia, and he came just a little bit before, and he will speak more about co-working after in the panel after the lunch. So now we will move, because we are also late, we will move to the topic of eco-transition. So I call Werner. Eco. I'm very happy to present Werner. He comes from Ufa Fabrik in Berlin. centuries that we like very much.
We don't have so much time. Thank you very much. Yes. We want to have the It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yes. Okay, my name is Werner. I come from Uferfabrik in Berlin. Uferfabrik in Berlin is International Center for Culture, Ecological, Economic and Social Affairs. And we occupied this area in '79, former times. It was a film factory in the south of Berlin. They produced the films, and here in Tempelhof they developed the films. And in '61 the wall was built in Berlin. So this area goes down because they couldn't work together with Potsdam-Babelsberg. This was in the east part of Germany. So 79, it was the time, the 60 was past. We have done many things in Berlin, you know, we could tell about later. In 78 we organized a festival in Berlin, the festival, first sustainable festival, I think, and we invited all the freaks from Germany to show their things in Berlin, and we built up an area, a little village, divided in different themes and so on, and then we talk about food, about meditation, about health, about ecological projects, about energy, about architecture, and so on. And after the 6 weeks, the people were very sad because we have to clean everything and oh, what shall we do now? It was so funny and so. And then they decided, wow, let's live it. Let's live it. What we have done it now, the last 6 weeks, we can live. Yeah? And then they were looking for a place and found this old building, 15 years old, 15 years not used. So it was a ruin, all the neighbors put their waste on it and so on. And then we started there the new life of Ufa. And okay, here, for example, you see the old cinema, here was the acid house, here was the treasure of the German film, here was a cantina, and here's some handicrafts, optical and acoustical instruments. And yes, we started with some creative people, not very specialized people, creative people that want to do something. Oops. Oh. What is it? Ah, okay. So, the first I want to say is what's happening in Ufa and how we see it now. In the beginning, we hasn't had that definition of sustainability, but at last we said sustainability is a calibration of 4 columns. And these 4 columns has to be calibrated. If they are not calibrated, the sustainability is yeah. Sustainability is on 4 columns, and when one is not calibrated, sustainability falls out, go down. So we said that's very, very necessary, and we lived that. Some do something for ecological things, some make culture, some make economical things, and so on. And so we have a theater hall, we have a bakery, we have a guest house, we have a free school, and so on. Okay, and this, my special part in Uferfabrik is the technical part, the ecological part. You see, Uferfabrik is something like a house. There's the roof, it's the roof organization, Uferfabrik Berlin e.V., and there down under is the culture center, the neighborhood center, and the guest house, the cafe, and so on. And my specialization is ecology. And here's some parts, some teams I work with. And I want to show you shortly, we use renewable materials or old materials like wood, clay and straw bales for construction or for insulation, flax, sheep wool, paper recycling materials. And then we have a big solar panel on the roof, solar area. And in that time when I started with all these ecological projects, this was in the end of the 18th, all the people said, oh, Werner, it's too expensive, we cannot do it in the ecological way, we have to do it commercial. And I said, no, we get funds and so on, yeah, let's do it ecologically. And I always, in the next foils, I always write the benefit beside. So when we have the solar panels, we get about 20,000 euros a year by the solar panel and could use that money for social projects or for other ecological projects. Here we have a cogeneration system. A motor runs a generator, so we get electricity of the generator and heat from the motor, and that gives us about 10,000 euros a year. Then we have stabilization of our electricity. I was wondered, the official power plant raise up the voltage. And I thought, no, they don't do it for me, for us. They don't do that for us. And then I looked for the physical things in the formulas and so on. And then I saw that the voltage is somewhere squared, some quadrat, squared in the formula. And so when you have a higher voltage, you have to pay more money, but without more effect. Yeah? All in Germany have to run by 207 volt up to 250 volt. Yeah. So we install a machine and we run the Uferfabrik with 270 volt and save 5,000 euros a year. We have a compost system, a special one. It's not so important for here. The normal land composting, you need 1 year, 1.5 years to compost, and with our system we need 2 months. It's only by running and by feeding the microorganism with oxygen and with heat. And this is a normal process. We only have to turn these tubes every morning. So then we have rainwater using. Drinking water is about 2% or 0.2%, I'm not sure. In the world, the water in the world is drinkable, the rest is salty or dirty, and we use it to bring our shit into the canalization. Nobody would do that with French wine or German beer, but we do it with the most important food. Without water, we cannot exist. So we collect our rainwater, about 2 million liters a year, for our toilets. That's in Berlin, it's a month of 10,000 euros we save by that. Then we spread into the town with our ideas. So here you see an old bus station from the beginning of the 19th century. Nowadays is a hall, a music hall for 7,000 people, and there we use solar panels on the roof, and inside we have a special system we will see later. And here also is an old post factory from the train post, I don't know. Yeah. They put all the posts from the people to the trains. Yeah. Nowadays is a a club for music and a big exhibition hall. And also there we have had a problem to heat it up. I will show it here. For example, here is our old power plant in Berlin. It's 24 meters high, and we have had a problem to heat it up. And we found a system. We shoot a gas flame here into a tube, a metal tube heat up, and it's like you are in the mountains. All around is 0 degrees, snow and ice, and you be naked in the sun, and you get this radiation of the sun. Here's the same, so the volume of the big hall, you need not to heat up, it's 60 degrees, but by the radiation of the gas flame, of the tube, of the metal tube, you feel like 21 degrees or something like this. And with this, we save about 60% of the heat costs. Here, this I put in because I think there could be Rojc in the next years. And this is Berlin normal in the city, in the center of the city. And this after we worked there in '83. So we put our green roofs, and why I will tell you later. Here is Uferfabrik, a picture of Uferfabrik, a green roof. Here is a part of the university in Adlershof in Berlin with a wall greening. Here's the Potsdamer Platz, 1963, the center of Berlin. And this is Potsdamer Platz in '98. You see many big buildings. And the special thing of Potsdamer Platz was the companies were allowed to construct their buildings there, but they are not allowed to bring the rainwater in the official canalization. So they have a big problem. Well, when they close the surface of the Potsdamer Platz by the buildings, what shall we do with the rainwater? It's a huge amount of rainwater. And then they asked us, how can we solve that? And then they made here, you see, green roofs all over the big construction areas. So we measured in Ufa that 70% of the rainwater is stored in the green roof, don't flow out. And we in Ufa have had the problem that the streets, when there was a strong rain, the streets were full of water, and also from the gutter, the water came out to the streets because the rainwater cannot flow very quick to the channel. And therefore we put green roofs all over our Uferfabrik. And so they did in Potsdamer Platz. Then they have 70%, only 30% less they have to manage. And then we said, okay, there we can put a big lake, and we have the problem that the water fall down, get green and so, and then we brought special materials, substrate to the border of the lake, and it functioned. And also they have big cisterns in the cellar, in the 5th floor. And so they managed the rainwater problem in Potsdamer Platz by using our ideas. Okay, why do we do that all? Here you see the radiation of the sun. This is the radiation of the sun, the heat you feel, sensitive heat. And the city will reflect it. And you see here, that's what's going into the air, the sensitivity which go into the air. This is what the houses can store and so on. So we have many sensitive heat in the city. It's hot, it's dry, it's dusty, and so on. What happened when we make it green? So the radiation of the sun is the same, but the sensitive heat is less, it's going down. Why? Here you see, this is the part that the plants organize for us. They evaporate water and take the heat from the surrounding to evaporate water. You can see it later more detailed. Here, Uferfabrik, here's a tar roof, and here's a green roof, and here's the solar field. When you have a temperature photo, you see in the daytime, the tar roof is very hot. Yeah? This is hot, very hot. White is hot. And the green roof is relative cold. It's here, relative cold. And okay, the solar panels are cold also. I tell you why later. So in the night, what happens? The tar roof is relative cold, and the green roof is relative warm. So what happened is, here you have the tar roof. In the daytime, the temperature raise up a norm up to more than 40 degrees and fall down in the night. The green roof, the temperature of the green roof, in the daytime is a little bit more, in the nighttime is a little bit less. So the temperature maximum and minimum is equilibrated, something like this. And it's good for the material. Yeah? The foil don't have so much stress. Okay, here you see a strong rain, and a tar roof brings that to the channelization. A green roof, only that. So the first, I think, what is it, 8 to 20, the first 2 hours, the green roof collects all the rainwater. Yeah? They store it, the rainwater in the roof, and then a little bit flow out. That's amazing. That's amazing. I think in Rojc you have also problems with the rainwater and the backyards and they are full of water and so on. I think so. Okay. Here is the green roof in the same place but in different situations. Here is a dry spring and here is a wet spring. So it changed and you have a nice place. It's changing all the time. It's very nice. And here is a special one. I said, you remember the photo, the color, the temperature photo? Yeah, the solar panels were black in that photo, and it is, it's funny because they say, Werner, fuck off with your fucking solar panels on our green roof. You destroy our green roof and so on. But at last I win. And what we measured is that the plants evaporate water, cool the solar panel, and the solar panel gives more energy. So win-win for everybody. Okay. Here is the facade of the Rojc of the university. And the idea behind that is when you have the sun in the summer, it heats up your room through the windows. But when you have plants in front, you have shadow. That's one part. The other part is 1 square meter of plant evaporate about 10 liters of water a day. When you evaporate 10 liters of water a day, you need 7 kVH to bring the water, the liquid water, into gas. 7 kVH. Only this phase change from liquid to gas, 7 kVH. And this is what the plants do here. A square meter of leaves makes 7 kVH cooling energy. And so you can cool the distance between the plants and the walls in summer. And you need not a climatization inside. Here's some plants. And here you see the effect. It's 200, in this place in Atasov, it's 280 kilowatt hours per day cooling energy. Only by the plants of the facade greening. So what normally the people do, and what I've seen also here, is they use electricity for making the rooms cool. And what happened is you bring about 1000 kVA heat into the air to cool inside. And what we have seen before with the plants, they save energy and don't heat up our space. So global warming, this is not allowed. You have to do it with plants. Okay, and why? I want to show you here the orange cube. That's the energy that comes down from the sun in a year. So only for a picture. That is the energy of the sun. This is the rest we have in uran, in coal, in oil, in gas, and so the rest. And this is what we consume, all the people in the world consume a year. That we consume, and that is what the sun brings to us. So this, you can measure this and this, okay, the next 70 years, if we have enough, then we have to think about something else. No problem. But when you see this small is what we need, and this is what we get from the sun, why isn't it outside 100 degrees or something like this? Why is it outside today 20 degrees? Why? And not more? Because there's huge energy from the sun. And then we have that. The blue cube is that what the plants do for us. The phase change from liquid to gas. And also the evaporation of the seas and the Atlantic, and so also that. But also the plants. This 7 kVA for the phase change. That is that. And that is why we have normal temperature outside. So, and one thing, this is what we have in consumption. Christian said the consumption raised up in the last 100 years or something like this. Okay, and what the people say, the industry say to us, save energy. It's okay, it's necessary to save energy. But they say, buy a new refrigerator, buy a new camera, buy a new car, a new what else, to save or to lower down the CO2. CO2 is 0.4% of our air. And they say, save CO2. They say, here, make here, there. It's crazy. I think the most important thing is that we make this by, for example, cutting 350 square kilometers of rainforest every day, or globalize or make our city bigger, 150 square kilometers, or the deserts grow 300 square kilometers. And this is one of the main points. We have to do something against it. And what we can do is to say that stop that fucking cutting. And what we can do directly is green our cities. Make green roofs, make facade green to cool our surroundings. Okay. What will happen when we make something green? You know, for example, in Spain, or the center of Spain, the central Spain, is something like a desert in the south. In Europe, it's a desert. Crazy. What did they do? They cut off all the trees and built their ships to fight against the Englishmen or what else. Huh? Crazy. So, what happened is, they don't have, sorry.
We've already had two, we don't want another one, Bernard.
I take the French. Oh. Portuguese also.
Come on, no, let's do the war.
No, when they fight against the devil. Okay, and what's missing? What's missing when you cut down the trees or when you grow up your cities is you miss this small circles. You miss the small circles. Normally, when here is green, it's evaporate, condensate, and fall down. And sometimes it's only 10 kilometers or 20 kilometers distance between evaporation and fall down, and rain. So when we green up, we use these small cycles of water. When we don't do this, we have big cycles only, and then we have that. Yeah? You know that. In Berlin, 20 up to 30 times a year, all the wastewater come into the official seas or lakes or rivers and so on. Yeah? You see your colleagues from yesterday night. Yeah? And that's happened when we don't have small cycles, when we only have big cycles because we have no green. Okay. Then shortly only, we made a festival 5 years ago, and we had the vision to green up our city and to bring ecological buildings into the city and use straw bales and wood and clay, because when we use that materials, we can see this nature, and when we use stones, we see this nature. So we do with straw bale building. And we work together with the university, with students. Some of them didn't have a machine in their hand when we started. And we built up a little house with much fun. You see here, they put the straw bales into a frame. And why do we do this? A normal material like polystyrol or something like this need 150 up to 250 kVH to produce 1 square meter of this material. Yeah, it's an insulation material. We have to do it, to work it with it, to isolate, to save energy. Yeah, but we use 250 kVH to produce 1 square meter. These are these materials here. By straw bales, it's here, you cannot see, it's 3 kVH producing energy. So it's much more better. And when we see the storage, the possibility to store energy, polystyrol and so are here, 15, 20 kilojoule, and straw is here by 100 kilojoule. So everything speaks for building with straw bales. And we've done it. This is the building we did with the students. This is a building we did in Galicia, in northern of Spain. You know the holy way to Santiago Compostela. Yeah? They have this mushroom as a sign. And we built up a building, see here, with straw bales and so on. It's much more better now, but it's Okay, it was a Leonardo project with 4 partners in Europe. Okay, thank you very much. So if you want to look at the website, you can see www.infrafabric.de. One question. The people often ask me, what is the evidence, you think, of the global warming? And I made many research over years, and I found an answer and we look from 18th century up to now.
You see why we like so much weather, no? Okay, we will continue. Please come. One more presentation we will have, and then we will have a pause for lunch. So with us now are Jean-Pierre Brossard and Claude from Bordeaux, from Darwin. We have some problems with the techniques.
Risinājums.
Hello everybody. I would like to start by apologizing because my English is very bad, so maybe I will read sometimes. I hope this will not be boring. But anyway, so I'm Chloé, and I work for the cooperative of Stock Places, which is based in the Aquitaine region, in the southwest of France. As you can see, this is a wonderful region. And at the moment, our regional community is formed by nearly 80 spaces, and I'm in charge of promoting and animating non-formal gatherings between the people working in these places.
Anyway, it doesn't work. So I would like to tell you a little bit about the history of our company. So in 2010, Lucille created the first co-working space in the French countryside. And this is in Pomerol, which is really famous for red wines. And soon afterwards, she met Marie-Laure, the other co-founder of the cooperative, who at the time was one of the only people speaking about third places in this region of France. And together they came up with the idea of gathering a group of creators and animators. Yeah, nice, thank you. Okay, so this is the region. So as you can see, the number of third places is expensive, and this is a sort of third places in our region. This is our history. This is Pomerol, very famous, and this is the two co-founders. So I can go back. So where was I? Yeah, they had the idea of gathering people. So it was creators and animators of third places. Interested in the subject so that they could share their experiences and knowledge. And as the group grew, the need to structure these gatherings became obvious, and the two co-founders proposed the creation of an association that would in fact come to life in 2013. But the demand continued to grow, and Marie-Laure and Lucille decided to stop their respective professional activities to become employees of the cooperative in September 2014, and I joined them at the end of 2015. So our mission is to support and accompany people, private companies or public structures that want to launch their third places. So for instance, we can help them to set up activities, to get financial aid, to handle practical aspects, and so on. We also facilitate non-formal gatherings of people who share the same values and goals in the field of third places. And we function as a laboratory of new work organizations, so we experiment with different ways of creating shared spaces. And our knowledge in this subject and in those projects and our proximity with the region make us experts actually in this area. We are the only one to do that in France. And personally, my main goal is to promote third places by giving them visibility and making them appealing to a larger group of users. And I'm also in charge of creating new partnerships that can contribute to facilitate their management. And the main idea is to support them in finding a viable economical model. Also, we organize some events which are called Petit Ramadan. And it is a kind of networking event in some rural cities in order to gather users and managers of third places and also associations and municipality of the city where the event is organized. And everyone can talk about their projects, their needs, their wishes, and the idea is to actually we want them to understand the added value to work together in the same area. And this is also very important for us because it is an opportunity to bring together citizens and public structures so that they can hear what the citizens have to say. Okay, now I will give you some examples because we focus mainly on promoting and creating third places in the countryside because those kind of places can bring new life in the community and bring people closer together, actually. So we try to create common places where people can come for different reasons and participate in the same activities. And we are also invested in the restoration of empty buildings as a way of maintaining the integrity of the neighborhood where we act. So I would like to give you two examples. So the first one is Le Splendid Co-working in Langoiran, in the French countryside. And the people reached out to the cooperative asking for help in creating a third place. So while analyzing the area, we found an old cinema. It was owned by the city hall and abandoned since 40 years, maybe, I don't remember, but a long time ago. So after meeting with the locals, we understood they wanted a place to regroup different types of workers and to create an alternative to the traditional working spaces. And then, following the necessary renovations, the old cinema reopened and has now 3 different uses: a co-working space, a restaurant, and a theater, as you can see on the next here. So this is in the countryside, but we have also another example is in city. So this is Le Nomade in Bordeaux city center. And we were approached by the post office, actually, that owned an old building really well situated in Bordeaux. The kind of building that you could not miss if you are walking down the street. So this is a good point. So yes, in keeping with our values, we decided to restore the building and turn it into a kind of co-working space that we did not have before in Bordeaux. A place with some conference rooms that can be used with flexibility and rented at a small price. It is very important for us to promote the creation of different kinds of places so that they can bring something new to the community and not compete with each other. This is very important. So this is an example, some fellows